esports, we are still at the beginning, and giving context to data with super complex technology and stats and insights can really help doing that.
There are very few things on the planet that make me smile as much as chatting with all of you in the chat about my SAP stats on my PC powered by NVIDIA while I sit in my DX Racer. I don't know about you guys, but it definitely puts a smile on my face. And the other thing that puts a smile on my face is some good Dota. And we got Cole versus Mineski coming up right now, and we got Sind back on the desk.
I'm still recovering.
From what?
From that comment?
Just him off camera. It's hard to know.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay.
So a little bit of behind the scenes information. I have extra gear because I'm the captain of the desk. I'm in charge because I'm the oldest on the desk. So the oldest and the most senior gets to be in charge of everything. And I get to hear all the music, and there's some sick dubstep. I was in the chat with my ! Playlist to actually hear all the PP jams and actually get a list of all of them.
Yeah.
You're learning. The young ones do learn quick. So I get to dance a little bit while I'm warming up. But my question is, how's Mineski and Cole been warming up during the break? What do they have in store for us? It's going to be the first time that we actually do see them playing in this tournament, in this minor. And right now, we are still in those group stages. So they have a little bit of wiggle room, but you don't want to drop down yet to play against Sirius. You want to try to get that matchup against NIP so you can go straight into that bracket, the winner side of the bracket, without needing to go for like a long run on the lower side of the group. So my question is, how do you think Mineski and compLexity have been getting ready, Nahas?
I think you take a long look at what the opponent has been doing, but I think mainly with both these teams, the story has been let's take a look at ourselves and let's find some of that consistency that's eluded us throughout this DPC season. One of the big criticisms that I've had of compLexity since Kyle left is they just have lacked a team identity. I think obviously Dota's a game where a lot of things can work and there are a lot of viable strats, but I think it's helpful, especially at a LAN, to have this team identity of how we play and how we win. And compLexity just hasn't had that since Kyle left the team.
Yeah, it's not like they've lacked leadership entirely.
Not at all.
A guy like
Not at
Adam
all.
is definitely a captain, but he's not the same leadership type as
Right.
Kyle is. I think Kyle, if you can like compare these captains to the captains that we have in top tier Dota right now, Kyle is probably more of the PPD or misery type
Absolutely.
captain who's like very strict. This is my idea. This is how we're going to do it. Very powerful
And
leader.
look, that idea doesn't always have to be right. I think
No,
people make
absolutely not.
You have to have go into these games with an idea. How are we going to win? Who are we going to play around? Who are we going to enable? Because this is Curl likes to say all the time. Not everybody's going to have a good game.
Yeah,
Well,
and
the
the
thing
other-
is even if that idea isn't correct, you need to have everybody actually act out that idea. Because if you don't and you hesitate, that's when a mistake does happen. But speaking of ideas that are never wrong, Twitch chat, we know that you were never wrong. And we want to look to you right now to see who you think is going to win this game. Is it going to be Mineski or Cole? I trust you guys more than I trust my analysts because I know that you guys will never be wrong.
Okay. I've been right almost all the time. I'm always right.
You're basically
Don't forget,
your
I'm
budget chat.
I'll take that.
Budget Twitch chat.
You know this thing, wisdom of the crowd? If you can take like the thousands of minds in Twitch chat and I can be budget that, I'll take it.
I'm sorry, dude.
That's really good.
Admiral Bulldog is already
That's
a
really
thing.
He's budget me, so.
Wow.
So
Sandal
we-
blow.
you even wrote it on a piece of paper, man. Like,
I did,
get
just
it
so,
together.
yeah.
Just in case you forgot that that's a thing.
Yeah, I don't function on the highest
Now,
level.
I did want to just finish on the Kyle topic, just because Adam, in my mind, is the type. He's more of a mediator type leader,
Yes,
or an
absolutely.
enabler, who is more. He doesn't seem like the strong kind of leader, but more of the guy who takes input from people, tries to build something around it, and I don't want to say make everyone happy, but try to get people on the same page in a different way. Not by telling you
Right.
this is how we're going to do, but by finding out, okay, what do you guys think we should do to get to a goal? And that kind of leadership style can be just fine. It's more
Mineski
similar to how Fly, for example, works with
versus
EG. compared to
compLexity
the
Gaming.
Like, that's not that he's a weak leader, but I like to say strong leader, just somebody who's like, we're doing it my way. But with this kind of team, if the other players are not very if you are the mediator, but others don't shot call on game or have strength to use that mediation, then you might end up with this kind of situation where you have like 2 or 3 half leaders, but it's not like really coming together.
That's going to lead me into my next one about this team, because that's what part of why I like the addition of Tavo so much, because he's a guy that is a little bit more vocal, plays with that emotion raw on his sleeve, plays these big playmaking heroes. And that's the kind of thing, when you look at players like Zach has been notorious for this for a long time. He's one of the, technically speaking, he is one of the most proficient 4-position players in the world, but he doesn't want to be the big in-game leader. He doesn't want to have to shot call. He wants to make plays himself, and then the team follow that up. Miracle, the SEA Miracle, very, very strong technical player again, but not an outspoken guy. It's pretty hard to get the kid to say a word when you talk to him in person. I really do like the addition of Tavo to this dynamic as somebody that's going to bring that more vocal play style, and not necessarily, the coaching. They've got tips for that, and I think she's going to do that very well for them. But that in-game voice, I think Tavo is going to be great for them.
It definitely has seemed like in the past that in critical situations, in high-pressure games, in important moments, that they would just kind of lose track of what the next goal was in the game. And that can be different reasons. Like, you can, even if you have a strong leader, like Dota is not a game that is called by one person. It never is.
Right.
Even on the top level, like the captains get all the credit in the world when they have a good draft or when the game plan plays out nicely. But in every team in the world, there are multiple people calling shots in the game. The cores need to be able to say when they hit a timing, when they're ready, what they want to do, how to play around their heroes, like what the goal is, just as much as the support do later on in the game. And like you said, if that's something they've been lacking from their cores, then even had they had Kyle instead of Adam and the rest would be the same, you would still see some of those problems. Like, you can't pin it all on one role to do that job. So perhaps the other players have had to slowly learn to be more vocal, to take more charge in the game. And hopefully that's something that the coach can be helpful with. Be like, guys, you need to activate yourselves. It's not a problem to make calls, because maybe people are hesitant because they're like, what if I call something wrong? But you have to go through those failures to get good and be able to make more successful calls in the future.
Yeah, I think that's very important, right? Because you talk about having almost fragmented leadership, but you really need to look at it more in the sense of you have limited information, right? It's a game about acquiring as much information as possible. That information is going to come in different places, and it needs to be diffused to the entire team. And sometimes you need to call a shot in a split second.
Absolutely right.
Let's talk about Mineski, though, in particular. Let's put them under the microscope right now and talk about what the year's been like for them, Nahaz.
Again, I think it's more of the same. These two teams, you saw a few minutes ago some of the team stats. They're very, very similar, and I think compLexity also has had some identity problems throughout the season.
You think identity problems have been what has embodied their season?
Yeah, I think, again, you look at who are you playing around, right? You look at Moon or Nana, as he's sometimes known. Is he going to be the guy you're going to play around? Are you going to play around KP, who at times has played a very greedy offlane? Ajit, at times in his young career, has been viewed as one of the more technically proficient farming players coming out of SEA recently. They haven't necessarily had that identity, and who are they going to enable game to game?
All right, let's take a look at some of these moments coming over from Cole that actually allowed them to have the year that they have had thus far. And I do want to say as well that something Nahaz brought up about both of these teams is just how much this minor is really going to mean for them.
Yeah, if any of these teams gets top 2, it is the chance at going to TI. And you could say, in many ways, for a team like Mineski, it's kind of a disappointment for them just because of how things shaped up earlier in the previous year. In 2018, they even won a major.
Yes.
So they have definitely had a serious drop-off, and they want to get, I mean, we don't need to say that everybody wants to play TI, right? But there's definitely, they've got to be hungry for getting back what they had, They've lost a lot of momentum in the scene over the last half year to year. And just getting that one success experience, we know how much it can catapult a team. If you get second at this minor, even if you don't win, you just get through to the major. It's a major confidence booster. You get the chance, and maybe you make a run to top 6, and there you go. You're suddenly at TI. And all of these TI qualifiers, there's not a single easy one. Like, whatever region you're from, there's no free qualification. So
Well, and you got to be. I mean,
And you need to
got to be
win.
scared as hell about SEA.
Yeah,
too,
you need to win.
because, man, oh man, there are the volatility in that region. You talk about just coming through open qualifiers.
Yep.
Is nuts.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you have to take first place because there's one slot per region, right? So
I do think it is kind of important when you bring up, it's like, yeah, of course they all do want to win. Like everybody in the world wants to be able to win an event that huge. But the question is, how realistically is the path to that event even going to be charted for these squads? And how close are they to already achieving that path and avoiding some of the sketchier situations that you would need to do to actually get there? And when you look at these squads and you know that in the minor, if you can make it to the grand final, you can make it to the grand final. Both of those teams, unlike what we usually see in minors, are going to be able to get to that major to try to have a performance. And really, I know this is a generalization, but most of these teams, what do they actually need to be able to crack as far as placement is concerned to grab that spot at TI?
Well, so both of these teams are in that group sitting around the couple hundred points. Like I believe like 500-600 points in that range.
I don't even think it's that much, is it?
I think it's pretty close for Mineski at least, right?
I'm not sure about. Okay.
Anyway, my recollection is
hundred.
that they're sitting between 400 and 600
Okay.
points. And the point is that in that range, top 8 at Epicenter, like top 6 in that range puts you
100%.
completely a lock, 100%. Top 8 puts you like 95%.
Yeah, it's super likely
Right.
because then the rest, I mean, technically you're not fully in charge of your destiny if you only get top 8, but the amount of things that need to play out against you in order for it not to be enough is extremely unlikely.
And here's the other thing, though, as Mineski, what you're looking at as well is you're looking at a TNC team that might be in your qualifier as well that has been crazy of late. To me, one of the big things I took out of ESL 1 Birmingham is that tournament was a coming out party for TNC. I thought of all the teams there, they were the one that really caused me to revise my expectations. And so this is looking like potentially a very tough region to get out of.
Yeah, it seems that the addition of Heen to TNC has worked wonders for them.
Not surprising.
It's hard to, like I always say, right? The coach, you can't just pin it on the coach being like, oh, the coach came in and he fixed all their problems. It's always a team effort, but he might just have been that catalyst they needed to fix some of their problems and give a different perspective. It's really great to see a team grow that much in such a short amount of time because, again, TNC's year has also been a little bit topsy-turvy. Like, there's been good tournaments.
Well, topsy-turvy, TNC has been the forgotten SEA team for most of this DPC season.
And largely because they've just lost qualifier finals to Fnatic.
Exactly.
Part of the way, so it's tough. But like focusing on this group in isolation, I think going into this tournament, most people probably felt like this is the stronger group on paper
easily.
with quality of teams.
Look, let's be honest. As much as Windstrike and Hamburguesa treated us to some really entertaining Dota over the last few days, those were on paper the 2 weakest teams in the tournament, and they were both in Group A. So this group, there are no free games.
Yeah, there really shouldn't be any free games. But we have to wait and see. These teams arrived late. They've had issues with they're probably somewhat jet lagged, but
Mineski had issues with the visas where there were some questions. I
think both teams, right?
compLexity, not so much. I mean, they've been boot camping in Poland.
Okay.
And both teams did arrive today, but I think compLexity, that was planned. Mineski, they were always going to arrive today, but I think they might have liked to get here a little bit earlier.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I think Cole is. They're definitely a little bit tired. From when I did get to talk to them, even though it was planned that they were going to be coming over from Poland. But I was talking that handsome devil right there for a little bit, and he was like, man, the best Friedman. But he was basically saying to me, easily. But
actually, you know what? One of the 3 that the audience doesn't know might be like the 3 younger brothers are actually super cool.
No, a great family. All in all. I mean, we said it yesterday, but I got.
That was a great thing to say about Kyle, by the way. I loved that. Great family. Very good.
Ultimately,
you know what? I will promise you this. If we have another delay at some time in this tournament, ask me that question again.
I guarantee you, I will
real.
never ask that question again. That was a one-time moment where I was feeling very sentimental. Kyle was being very nice to me that day. It'll never happen again. But the question,
most likely, yes.
Most likely never happen again.
All right, so we are going into the first phase here with the possibility of the Warlock still being on the table.
Yep.
The Sven has been a first phase staple for compLexity. They actually opened Sven Darkseer in several of their matches in the qualifiers, which I think is still perfectly strong in this tournament.
Yeah, I think the game we saw earlier today where Sven Darkseer lost, I still think that the heroes are totally compatible and absolutely fine to play. The Sven will be banned here by Mineski. This is interesting.
Okay.
I think the most banned hero of the tournament so far has been Oracle. Am I wrong in saying that?
I don't know about bans. There are the two most picked heroes, though. One of them will not surprise you. That's the Sand King, but what's the other?
Warlock.
Wraith King.
Wraith King.
Wraith King.
Wraith King has a good win rate, too.
Yeah, he is 5-3 in 8 games in this tournament so far.
I actually thought it would be better.
Well, he was 5-2 going into the last game,
Yeah.
where Silo lost with him.
That's how you get 5-3, yes. Okay, so Call's first pick, Oracle, Warlock, probably the two to look out for. Or first pick.
I do not, man. Okay.
Okay.
So,
all right, I'm ready, man. I'm ready. You know what? There's something. So when you're an analyst, right? And
Speaking of things that we thought we were never going to do again.
Yeah. So, look at that. There you go. That's my reaction to first pick, Chen.
I am always ready to be proven wrong. You know?
Yeah.
And
that's why Dota's fun, right?
I have a firm opinion that the nerfs to Chen are so severe that the hero is not a first pick anymore.
I would agree with that.
Until, once I see that game that's just going to totally convince me, I will gladly admit I'm wrong. And we'll see if this is going to be the one. But first pick Chen is...
plural. Is this Grimstroke Warlock?
It could be. They could also... Let's see, what common Grimstroke partners are there? There's no Sven. The Sand King has been rated high.
You go back to Doom. And Mineski has been a Doom team. You don't like Doom right now.
He's not a flex pick anymore.
Okay,
you can't really play at jungle or at position 4 rather, just because Devour got nerfed really hard. So okay, never mind. All right, I'm just gonna shut up and enjoy the show.
Get out of here. No.
I love the idea.
I actually think that's a super valid point.
I love the idea. Sin, completely correct so far. Not wrong about a single thing. And this is the draft where it all falls apart. Nothing but incorrect information.
I need to save this.
But I want to go back. I actually completely agree with what Sin said about Chen. I mean,
even if I call the picks wrong, I can still be right. I can still be right that the picks are bad, you know?
That's true. That's true. If they get face rolled.
So here's the deal. If both teams pick bad heroes, one of the teams will look good, right? Or maybe both heroes will look good. Or will everything look bad?
See, that's what's
are you building up to I'm always right by construction? Is that going to be the punchline?
No,
here?
it's more that let's say we think both Chen and Doom are bad, right? We pick them in opposite sides, and one of them has a good game. Is any of them good, or is it good by comparison to something bad?
And this is why, even when you're looking at the best statistics in the entire world, you need to be doing it with context. Isn't that right, Nahas?
And in a comfortable DX Racer chair.
There we go.
And preferably with other people. Go on.
Wait, what? Okay.
I didn't think that was that subtle.
I got it.
Okay.
My man Rich. Okay, that's good.
Anyway, Chen, I agree with you, not a hero. I think 1 minute cooldown and recall and no longer able to exploit those siege creeps takes away a lot of what he could do in the early game. I do, you know what? Wraith King was not a hero that I valued at all coming into this tournament, and what I've seen so far from the hero, he's shot up. I actually really like him.
You could learn something from that.
Yes, for sure. I think the hero is just...
No, I meant shut up, Nahas.
Okay.
Come on, work with me here.
Wait,
Chat loves you right now.
We've lost order on the desk because we lost order on the desk because I was actually in chat typing "sin" to lol and Nahas. So now I'm back.
I'm 41, by the way.
Now I'm back.
Okay.
Hey. Now, we're going to take a look back on the draft. We're going to have order on this desk.
Get it together, Rich.
Do we need to get you a gavel?
Oh man, that would actually be a great prop for a desk.
Me with a hammer?
Yeah.
No, dude.
No.
All jokes aside, if we did that to Rich, then one day somebody would give it to Red Eye and we would all be dead. So
yeah,
Red Eye with a hammer is not something I ever want.
Have a little rubber mallet.
All right.
Judge
just for Kyle?
Yeah,
okay.
just consistently just hit him with it while they're doing the panel. I would be down with that.
I like it.
That's good entertainment, actually. I would watch that.
You know what?
At least 10 minutes straight.
Yeah. You know what is also going to be good entertainment? compLexity versus Mineski. And we're well underway in this draft, and we are back on.
What the heck?
Okay, let's go.
That's the hero I was most curious about coming into this tournament.
Yep.
I think this hero just got mega nerfed for a lot of reasons, and a big thing to me that not many people are talking about, I think the removal of the level 10 XP talent hurts this hero, especially in 721B. The Ags talent was moved from level 15 to 20 because a lot of people were just exploiting that hardcore. now that you have that, you no longer have that level 10 XP talent. Wisp is not going to hit level 20 in a lot of these pro games.
And the spirits don't have slow until you hit level 10.
Right, and you have to take it as a talent.
You have to choose it. So it's basically, when you think of nerfs, it's not just you lose the XP talent. You need to hit level 10 for your spell to work the way it usually did.
Yeah.
And you lose a line of talent, basically, right? You just lose the level 10 talent. So Io and Chen, in my opinion, got the hardest nerfs of 22C. But I'm glad we get to see the Io in play, because I still think the hero, the part of the core strength of the hero is still there. I just think you need a little bit more information before you pick the hero. So I think in this slot, this could be the good time to pick Io.
Pick it? Yeah,
when you see a little bit and you have something in the first phase that has synergy with it, and you have a plan going into the second phase, I definitely think the hero can be playable.
Is this Darkseer right here for Cole?
I would love to see Darkseer here. I think it's good. You're picking it into Doom, but it's still solid.
Yeah.
I
just
think you
love
do
that
it
hero
anyway.
pick right
Yeah,
there.
it's
The
good.
combination with the Spirit Breaker, and again, something we were saying about the Sven Darkseer combo for complexity. I think with Wraith King Darkseer, the same logic applies.
Yeah, and there's one of the really big benefits here is Darkseer. First of all, he has 2 Ion Shell friends. Both of them love Surge.
Yep.
And the Morphling Wall Illusion is really strong. So plenty of benefits to having Darkseer here. One of the things Io also really dislikes playing against is when heroes get on top of it, right? It wants to like circle the outskirts of the fight, but now you have to deal with both the Surge and the Spirit Breaker running at you.
Yeah,
and
when
probably
that
Spirit
Surge
Breaker
goes
getting
AoE.
Vessel too. Oh, that's 25 though. That's really late in the
Yeah,
game.
still, it's one of
can
those
happen.
things where in late game team fights, all of a sudden you have all 5 heroes that are possibly on top of the Io at the start of the fight. And I really like your point about the Morphling Wall. One of the big changes to Darkseer like a few patches ago, like level 1 wall is a spell. Now, for the longest time in Dota, you didn't get wall on Darkseer until like level 11 or 12.
Yeah.
And now level 1 wall is something that you will pick up and you will use against
good.
Morphling early on.
Yep, absolutely. Now, seeing this is a bit strange because, Io generally tends to play with a subset of heroes in lane to make those lanes really strong. In the past, it has played with Doom. Io Doom lanes have been pretty good.
Oh, I've seen a lot of Io Morph dual mid.
Io Morph dual mid is not something that I have seen for a while.
Okay.
Dual laning mid has not been popular for quite a while, but we could maybe see it as an option here from Mineski. It would be interesting to see a team go dual lane mid. I think the last dual lane mid I've seen is months ago. Maybe I've watched the wrong.
I saw a couple
maybe
teams
I've
try it
watched
out
the
in the
wrong
qualifiers.
games.
I saw a couple teams try it out in the
Okay.
qualifiers, but yeah, not at the highest level of competition.
No,
certainly.
it's not something very common right now, but it's creative and it can win games. The reason I'm saying that is that Io Morph technically, in theory, can be a good lane, but they need a little bit of experience,
Yeah.
right? Morphling on level 1 is a very weak hero, and so is Io. So the time that this lane starts getting good is when both heroes hit like that level 3 mark, so you get 2 in spirits and Morphling gets 2 in attribute shift. But until that, I feel like you're just at the mercy of the Spirit Breaker Darkseer just running you down.
Yeah.
Like, what are you gonna do about it? So maybe we will see them go dual lane mid, or we will see a different kind of laning where the Io plays with the Doom. They try to get the Morph mid, but this matchup is not good anymore. So I think the Morph really doesn't want to lane against TA.
No, not
you're
certainly.
a bit limited in your options here for Mineski.
Well, I think you're down to you've done yourself a little bit of a disservice in the Batrider got banned out at the tail end of the second phase. You banned the Ember Spirit yourself, which has been a popular lane against the Templar Assassin. So you're really quite limited in the heroes that counter TA. You're probably not going to pick a mid Venomancer here.
Yeah, I mean, when you're that limited too, you really want to make sure that you don't just have a filler pick, right?
Yo, Rich, listen. Does this complexity lineup remind you of anything?
Yeah, man.
What does it remind you of?
But here's the thing. As the
no.
host, it's my job
Okay.
to just say, hey, Sin, does this complexity lineup remind you of anything?
Does this complexity lineup remind you of something from earlier today, Rich?
Does this Sin, does this complexity lineup? Okay.
All right, listen.
Wait, is there an echo in here?
Okay,
The-
Rich. Listen,
Okay,
this
Sid.
is the same lineup that Windstrike played
Yes.
with Wraith King instead of Juggernaut, and we didn't like the
Juggernaut
draft
instead
then.
of Wraith King.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did I just say that?
Sorry, it's
Okay.
fine. It's fine. They had Juggernaut.
Yeah.
This game has Wraith King.
Thank you for answering my question,
Absolutely,
Sin.
he's on the screen. Yes, they
Sin,
do have
thank
that.
you very much for answering my question, because I did
Great
want
question.
everyone to notice that. And Haas, how did that play out for them?
Not well, as I remember.
You remember correctly.
Now, there's a couple of differences between those games. First of all, Mineski's draft is obviously very different than what.
I think
what Winstrike
Mineski's
was
draft
playing
is a
against.
lot less stable.
Yeah, it's worse against this than the lineup from Envergeza in that
They're
game, in my
using a lot of
opinion,
time.
against Winstrike. And the other thing is, I think Wraith King instead of Juggernaut in this kind of strategy might be better, just because Wraith King is better at taking towers, like in terms of tempo. He plays Chen's tempo better because of the Mortal Strike compared to Juggernaut. So maybe they can play kind of fast.
I
Gives them an
really
extra
love that
stun.
pick.
That was the other thing in that Winstrike game, I'll finish it now, was that the Juggernaut meant that only Spirit Breaker had a real setup and a catch, right? But now you also have a Wraith King that can go Blink Dagger and use the Surge to set up fights, so you have a little bit more options.
I'm just not sure that Blink Dagger, I don't know. I'm not sure that Wraith King wants to do that in this game. I guess with a TA, you're going to play super high tempo.
He's not going to buy it first item.
Okay,
But
all right.
just in general for later. In the
I do really like the Storm Spirit pick. That is that's a Moon
Yeah.
special. It's one of his strongest heroes.
It's good.
It is a hero that is better than people think against TA in lane with the overcharge stripping 2 refraction stacks with each right click. So I think this Mineski draft is solid. It really boils down to IO versus Chen. Who do you think is more
worse.
Who do you think is worse?
I don't know. Honestly, this game is pretty hard to call for me. Especially, we also haven't seen the teams play yet. Like, we don't know what level they're on, so.
I literally think Chen is bad enough that I'm going to take Mineski.
I'll go for Mineski
honestly.
too, based on the last pick. I think the Storm is going to be really good this game. So.
There are definitely a lot of questions with this one. Very excited to actually be jumping into the game because not only do we have questions surrounding some of the picks, but we also have questions surrounding the teams. Both of them just arrived here as well, but we are going to be jumping into the game right now. Remember, when we do return, we are going to be viewing all of the stats provided by our analytical partner in SAP, but let's get right into the action. Start making some numbers.
It makes it sound like we have to go to math class. I was like, 1 + 1. All right, Kyle, let's make some numbers together. 1 + 1 does not equal a victory. That's a draw. You need three games in a series in this to get through.
What?
That's me trying to make some numbers. This is why I didn't do maths, and I did arts.
Yeah, you could teach a remedial course, I'm sure, though.
Sure,
so
trade and business.
I don't think I agree with the panel about the results of this, and obviously my brother is on the team, but I still do think the complexities draft is well suited to deal with what Mineski wants to do here. You can have a lot of early game tempo. You're going to be able to control the map with the Darkseer Spirit Breaker, natural Vessel Buyer against Wisp and Morph. Feels like Mineski could win if the game goes late enough, but I think Cole will be strong enough to tighten the noose.
Well, we had that kind of question earlier today, right? There's a Chen on the field, and I can't remember who it was that asked up in the green room. It was like, what influence do you feel that Chen has had? Like, how much of a result have you actually got out of picking this hero? And that's where my question is going to be in the early phase of this game.
I know it's just because Sin hates Chen. He thinks it's a terrible hero. But what he doesn't tell you is that he's the one playing Chen for his team, and it probably is quite bad when you can take that into account. 3-4-3, though, one of the better 5 Chens, in my opinion, and it's nice to captain on the hero, strangely enough. It's difficult to play stuff like Furion, I feel, because you have to be constantly thinking about, like, around the map, whereas Chen, it's more like you're mobilizing in a direction. You're the general leading the cavalry.
You're not sitting there going, oh, crap, micro as hard as I possibly can and see where everything is at all times.
And the big thing that I worry about with Mineski's draft is that a lot of their heroes are vision consumers, right? Storm, Morphling, Wisp, they want to have more information so that you can properly find the opportunities to make pickoffs and engage, right? You want to play this guerrilla warfare type of Dota, whereas complexity, you're going to have traps and creeps and skeletons, and you're going to have ion shells pushing waves, spirit breaker charging. So you have so many methods of finding vision and getting on to these weaker Mineski supports, killing them off first.
See, I'm still interested to see if that's going to be a big factor, because I kind of always turn a little bit with Mineski to the offlane, even though Moon is in such a superstar whenever he plays anything, which is as great as a Storm Spirit hero. But having Devour on Doom, how effective is Chen able to be? What happens if you see Midas and Devour start to arrive? Can you keep that army up? And can you actually add that pressure? It's very sustainable, and with these aura-style building Doombringers, Mineski may just have that strength to fight through the sustain before you get something like a Spirit Vessel.
No, it's a good point. It's a really good point. I think that it's important that Cole just make clever rotations with their Chen. I think that's easy because they have the global mobility. You know, you're going to be able to summon players to you, and you have a Spirit Breaker charge that can also connect. The big concern for me is the Wisp. If he has a free game on Raging Potato, it changes the status quo a bit because you're more easily able to play around the side lanes and force Cole to just keep wasting their energy, charging back and forth across the map.
He also appears to be like the bigger lifeline. We've seen Morphlings just rip apart yesterday, and this will probably be very much the same if he can get up to a half-decent start. So then I kind of beg the question, how much pressure can compLexity apply, and where should they apply
Well,
it?
this is a good start. They want to be against the enemy tri-lane. Wisp, not the greatest laner. And Chen, Spirit Darkseer can apply a ton of harass in this lane. Wraith King bottom versus Doom is a trade. The main thing, to your point, you don't want to put Chen against Doom if you can help it. Because it's just so easy for KP to walk over, eat the creep, and remove the ability of the Chen to pressure. And it's better after the change where you can toggle whether or not you actually want that buff. Because previously, Chen could harass you with these really bad creeps. And you didn't want to eat them after you got like a Satyr. So you had to just tank it, whereas now you just eat it anyway, but keep the buff that you prefer.
How do you, actually, we look towards the Wraith King, like another hero who was very hotly contested during the first series of today. How's this matchup go? And itemization-wise, if compLexity are meant to be pushing earlier on, can Miracle go for the slow Midas, or should he be looking for the early armlet and fight?
Hang on, up top we got a little bit of aggression. Not sure what's going on here.
Yeah, it's just getting up in your face for the moment.
It was really weird. Sorry,
You're fine.
Chen was hiding, but KP was actually hiding on the right side and didn't show until Adam or 343 on the Chen had already teleported. So I don't know if he was trying to hide that or if this is the plan all along. But anyway, sorry, what was your question?
The question was the itemization from a Wraith King. Like, how does he actually try and start this? We may not even get to that point because Z-Freak and Tavo, they went straight back in again. Ninja Boogie got the perfect slow and the body blocks up. Z-Freak into the trees, hiding inside the fog of war, salves up quickly, gives just enough life to get away, combining with the stick charges. He moved into the trees, but no, he decided not to run back, trying to juke the vision of Ninja Boogie.
Yeah, really good block.
He juked nothing.
Yeah, Ninja Boogie set that up perfectly. Hit both of his swells and then with the strokes rather, and he had the nice body blocks to ensure the kill. I'm very surprised compLexity weren't backlaning. Why are they up in the face of 3 ranged heroes in the creep wave instead of just running behind tower and dragging it away?
And they're fighting inside the creep wave as well, which is only just making the Grimstroke even stronger. Like, it feels odd, and maybe now they try it, but can you still do this? Like, you got level 1 Iron Shells to work with, and no level 2s just yet. In fact, Raging Potatoes already cracked level 2 along with the Morphling, so the Wisp balls are now up.
Tri-lane versus dual lane, yet somehow Mineski are getting that level up earlier. Now we got level 2, though, on the Cole duo, but it's still just tough because now you can see the Mineski start, but they broke these trees, right? So they can actually just pull the creep waves towards their own creeps and the dual lane of compLexity. So it's going to cause Tavo and Z-Freak a lot of issues. Mid lane, pretty much a wash, 10 versus 9-3. And then bottom, 343 helping to secure Miracle's free farm bottom. And we'll see. I think the Wraith King goes Midas for sure. I've liked the armlet build that I've been seeing.
Yeah.
And I think in this game,
That's what I was thinking. Like, if you're playing a faster tempo, is armlet better than Midas? But
I like armlet because you look at the Mineski heroes, they have so much like low armor heroes. Like sure, Morph's got a lot, but I'm just never a fan of rushing Radiance against Morphling because then you're just playing as the Wraith King now for a bit in the fights.
But if you don't get that early advantage, if you don't get the snowball in for your lineup, you've got a Doombringer who is going to like completely outscale everything that the Wraith King can offer, just because of the way Devour functions. Not to mention
Wraith King, how does he beat? What do you mean?
As I'm just thinking, like how much money like you can get into the Doombringer. Like he's just gonna like when it comes
doesn't
to
outscale Wraith King. What are
really?
you talking about?
You going for that?
No, Wraith King crushes Doom. He's low armor, and if you doom him, he's respawning. Obviously, he'll keep scaling because Devour, but it's more the Morph thing that you got to worry about here for your compLexity. Because later on in the game, especially when you add the Grimstroke ultimate, double shotgun with the double Doom, like there's just nothing Cole's going to be able to do. TA specifically for Limp is more of this early mid-game tempo control. And Storm as well, arguably the best 25 talent in Dota. Just this whole vision advantage compLexity has will fade once Mineski is able to kill them from the far corners of the map.
Looks like KP is being forced out of the bottom lane just a little bit, with Chen being back down there. And yes, I put too much pressure on KP. That's my bad. I looked to the Australian.
Yeah, it's typical bias, casters.
Yeah, my God. Yeah. Yeah. But God, what have you... I think I've just taken it from you. You're no longer biased. It's all...
I don't even know who I'm biased. I don't know if I'm biased for teams or against them. It changes constantly. I'm never sure. I got DMs after doing the final between EG and Secret that it was a shame. Like, I was a terrible person because I obviously was rooting for Team X, and it was both teams. And, like, guys, I like both of them. I just like good Dota. Toby doesn't know what good Dota is, but I'm sure if he did, he'd be a fan as well.
Hey, that's the reason why I have co-casters.
Yeah, a bit slower. Oh, mid
Moon.
though.
Yep, just
He's
before
fine.
he's level 6, so there's no easy escape from him.
speed
Limp trying to
creep.
get a little bit close, but Limp doesn't have that either. But 3-4-3, in through the rear, Raging Potato will arrive in time, getting Moon into the trees and getting that regeneration in. Doesn't matter if he's maxed. Ninja Poogie gonna get his own swell up, looking for 3-4-3. All the stun into Z-Freak. That'll also work, but Z-Freak ready to charge away, slowed up, but he'll get his movement speed back. As the stroke fades, and they actually just change targets over towards KP with a Hellfire Blast, pushing him up and down and away from the bounty runes. They can keep the pressure up, especially when Z-Freak's able to get the RNG in.
Yeah, very weird to me. Adam didn't use Tornado under tower, even though it's like got a slow attached along with a lot of damage. Instead, he just kind of ran in a circle, got one auto attack off on the Storm. It would have also been able to cancel the salve regen on Raging Potato more efficiently, but just strange. I like the dive, but I think it was just a bit early. You can see Storm rotating to jungle. This to be expected as TA gets higher levels. You don't want to be mid without 6. As TA hits 6, it's very dangerous, especially when you know Z-Freak and Adam are looking to dual roam.
It's that early pressure, though, you're talking about. Like, compLexity need to get in there. They need to add some pressure. At least they got all 4 bounty runes, so that's an upside. And here comes Z-Freak. Going to work with Tavo, puts the Iron Shell on him, Raging Potato. Now he switched targets over towards the IO. Thanks to that extra bash, and they're going to pop him.
Yeah, that's some RNG right there, baby. One of these days you will get a bash. The charge now coming out into the Storm. He is level 6, however. Adam's in a lot of trouble here.
Moon doesn't
Just
have a lot of
tanking the
mana left,
damage.
so yeah, you'll get the kill onto 3-4-3.
Oh,
Roshan canceling the charge forward from Z-Freak, and that will give just enough time to complete the TP.
Bash for a bash. The RNG gods making sure that we have a balanced game.
The bill always is paid.
Yeah. Bottom, though, you can see Miracle already with phase boots. Will be going into the Midas most likely with that extra glove of haste. And he is very formidable down here. Even though there's a Grimstroke and a Doom in his lane, you just can't threaten him. It's just the nature of the hero. Hits very hard. You have Chen in the vicinity, still with the aura creeps to be expected. You're playing against the Doom to your point, so he can't really harass with them. Just trying to farm and make rotations away from him. The Dire scan him out, though. They will know that he's moving in that vicinity, just trying to place some wards. Yeah,
this is that question mark. Like, where's Chen meant to have a real influence? Like, can you actually still run like jungle-style Chen and just play catch-up and have these great items? But then he's a 5-position Chen.
Yeah.
He's not a 4th position, so he shouldn't be taking that money anyway. Top lane, they're going to go. Tavo charging forward over. Once again, they're just trying to bait Raging Potato into a fight, but Morphling, he wants to kill. Tavo, thanks to the surge. Even with the nerf, he has enough movement speed to get back out.
Z-Freak does not have the Iron Shell anymore, so he's going to just TP out. Yep, this is how you want to keep playing the Spirit Breaker. Just always using the charge, trying to get aggressive, and moving around the map. You don't want your predictable movements. The charge angles.
They also don't see it coming. There's 3 observer walls that got planted down.
Yeah.
So Mineski don't have any early detection, and compLexity are able to watch if they do try and gain some. That KP being charged, Hellfire Blast comes out, and Z-Freak, he's looking for the follow-up right underneath the tower. KP's got a lot of life. Grimstroke is there. He's going to actually let out the swell. So Doombringer, if they want to stay on top of him, they can try, but it won't work.
Yep, that's the thing. There's just so much ability from Mineski. They run away. They're not connecting with the charges in time to find the kills. That's just because Mineski are playing defensively once they recognize that Z-Freak's looking to make that move. Top tower. It's one of the downsides about Darkseer versus Morph. You hit this phase where you just can't threaten the hero anymore, and he ignores your harass, especially with the sustain of a Morbid Mask and the Friendly Wisp.
Yeah, how do you actually keep an Iron Shell on the lane to push it back? Like, I don't think we've seen that creep wave underneath the Tier 1 tower in a while, and Z-Freak, well, with the Invis rune, he was hoping to go on to the IO. Instead, they'll have Morphling. But wait, Tambo and Z-Freak have started this every single time, so they're going for Invis burn. But they've been trying to bait Raging Potato out and then fight him, not go the Morph.
Yeah, so far I'd say this favors Mineski, though. They just want to buy some time. Ajit looking to free farm. That's the big win condition. Moon able to farm the jungle, no problem. And sure, TA is ahead in the net worth department, but Limp really just hasn't got too much of an edge. Done some damage to the mid tower, but you ideally want to be looking to kill it on the next catapult wave, and I don't see that happening. He does have a huge ancient stack, however. May look to take that soon.
Well, that injection of money, maybe momentum can be kicked up a little bit more, but 3 kills within the first 9 minutes, that's probably not exactly what Mineski were looking for, but it doesn't swing either team's way heavily. Z-Freak is returning to the top lane to try this again, but it feels futile.
Yeah, and this is the thing about the Mineski cores, where if you don't get the advantage in the lane phase,
Chen
that's cool.
Actually
they
pulled
summon
him
back
down
in.
with the Iron Shell and the Surge. It allows Z-Freak just to quickly move onto KP, and with a double stun, the 3-4-3 off as KP will fall in the off lane.
Yep, and those are the sorts of moves complexity's got to look to make, right? Where he's Iron Shelled as he's being summoned in, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait, what? And Doom's dead. If the charge is waited for, he's going to be in the safety of his tower. It's just not going to work that well. The charging forwards
Contest, 10-minute bounty runes. Z-Freak just pushes them back. Ninja Boogie will manage to grab one of the runes. There was a battle on top as well. Io and Morphling were trying to contest, even under TA traps.
Nice job by Adam. Oh, that sentry just going to miss the ward to the top left. Tavo. They did a nice job top. They pushed the tower to just before deny range. Mid, Limp's going to attempt to kill this one. He took a huge ancient stack, and that's why his net worth is shot up to the top of the graph.
He's going straight into Blink too.
Yeah, I like that decision because we talked about it. You're not going to win in the super late game as complexity. You need to get map control in the mid game, and you can do that if you're able to abuse vision and pace and speed. The blink, the charges, the summons, you can do this very easily if you get these timings in conjunction, you find those early kills, take the tier 1s first. You can force Storm and Morphling into subpar farming patterns.
You got that Midas completed as well on Wraith. Took a little bit longer than you probably wanted, 10 minutes, and has the Radiance queued up. So we've locked in Miracle's trajectory.
And you can see Doom with the max Devour, not just for the NHN, but for the maximum scaling ability. Really good for KP. Plus, of course, the built-in 41 health regen when he's got 2 ticking. It's kind of ridiculous, and he just wants to sit down here bottom, make himself a target, because his other 2 cores, the Morph, the Storm, you're not threatened by Spirit Breaker charges whatsoever. There's no real way for complexity to find kills on cores unless they're out of position or make a mistake. It's the supports they want to be hunting, and stuff to do that. That's why they're going to look to smoke up here as Limp just finishes his fresh blink. It's go time. You've got level 6 on the Chen, level 7 Spirit Breaker, maxed out Bash, which means that Nether Strike will be...
This timing feels a bit off though, because Io has relocate. He's managed to hit level 6 up on the top, so support
you don't want to fight though, Toby. You do not want to fight if you're Mineski. It's very difficult. Unless you are initiating with a Grimstroke ult into a Doom, it's just not a possibility. They're going to find the Storm.
But if Moon can get the jump away, he should be okay. KP, like, he's going to be flagging something too. They're missing bottom, they're missing top. This feels a little too telegraphed, Moon just stylishly showing it. And he's getting himself a regeneration rune as well.
And there's the complexity draft where you want to make plays, but if you can't, you're hamstrung a bit. And I like the decision 3-for-3 just wants to kill the mid tower. You're gonna have a charge coming out bottom.
It's Ninja Boogie.
They're just gonna look to walk away here, it appears, but no, Ninja Boogie.
KP's nearby. He's actually gonna consume the Hell Bear, and Ninja Boogie in a little bit too deep. Can he actually learn anything? Relocate is on the way, but Ninja Boogie already died. Quick silence, but now the damage. Miracle, he's got a secondary life, ready to use it. 7 seconds to the relocate comes back. Now Storm Spirit, Moon jumping to this fight, and they get the kill on the Io. So Morphling is going to be stranded here, looking for his own fight. Z-Freak, and they still kill him off. The Hand of God gives so much more life back. At least there is the Doom out at the moment on the TA, so she doesn't get any more refraction, no more bonus damage. So Archit looking to actually change around and attack into Tavo, remove anything you possibly got. Waveform down, looking for another kill. And then finally is now unsilenced, but chased down KP right behind him. The damage output is ridiculous from the Morphing. A triple kill for Archit.
And that's the downside of this Blink first max melt from Limp. Like, Ajit just crushed that fight. He did almost all of the damage. Well, how much was he responsible for it? He did more damage than the rest of his team combined in that engagement because you're able to get the refraction up, and then you're melt striking these heroes with incredibly low armor. Only 10 on the Wraith King, 12 on the Spirit Breaker, 11 on Darkseer, and 5 on Chen. So he's just shredding through them. And obviously, Morph already hits hard enough. That was without Doom, without the Soul Bind. I said Mineski can't fight, but when it goes that well, you got to question maybe Cole going for the wrong targets. They all end on Doom, but he was able to get it off on the TA. That prevents Limp from actually contributing, but he's still in range, so Morph can take him over. Feels like a 6-on-4.
Top. It's a wrap around the side, and it starts with the Soul Bind. KP just moving forward, but 3-4-3 and Limp. They're just tanking through this, but it's buying time. Morphling will arrive. They'll get the slow. Limp into the trees. Refraction defensive is already gone. He's got a melt available, and here comes Tavo. Needs to help out. Relocate does arrive. Raging Potato just needs to buff up his supports or his core. Either one. 3-4-3 is the one being chased down underneath the tier 1 tower of the Dire side. Tavo at least can get the double kill in return. Maybe he can escape. Z-Freak returning with the charge back to the fight.
This Morph Morpholution is doing so much damage. The only reason they're able to find those trade kills. But that's still great for Mineski because Storm just farming this entire time. And if you look at it, Ajit, top of the net worth, almost at a Lincoln's. We're only near 15 minutes into the game. This is great because as we've seen, now KP, he's accelerating to your point, Max Devour. They're going to just continue to upgrade. And at a certain point, you get a Soulbind and a Doom, and compLexity cannot win fights any longer.
Yep.
Chen is meant to dominate the early game,
But this is what you're meant to look for whenever, like, it's any team that KP plays in. Storm Spirit jumping up, he's just looking for the rune. Ends up being one going the way of Miracle, the rest of Mineski. But it's the way KP plays, and he's played this way in every single team he's in, where he plays as the real one. You think back at the days when he used to play the Naga Siren, where it's like, you know what, I'll build the Radiance, I'll do the split push. And I feel like when he gets on a hero like Doom, it's exactly the same type of thing. And he is able to outscale almost anyone on compLexity because it's just the nature of the hero. And now he's got himself a Crimson Guard. Hey,
it's true to an extent.
It was my point, at least.
I'd agree. Anyone on
logic.
complexity might be a bit of an overstatement because of the Wraith King, but I do agree, and conceptually, it gives Mineski's draft like that ultimate late game dominance, especially after the changes to Roshan. You get the Refresher Shard, perhaps on that third. You have a Grimstroke. If you delete 2 Cole heroes and then you have a Storm and a Morph, how do you lose the late game? You know, it just gets to a point where if you examine these drafts at 30 minutes and think, okay, if both teams cast all their spells, who wins? Mineski does in a landslide. And it's just so difficult for complexity because they're low-ish on disables. It's mostly just that Spirit Breaker. Tough to take down these elusive heroes such as Morph and Storm that can just avoid your disable entirely.
Yeah. Especially if you've got like Lincoln's, like, well, your long range charge, like there's no more.
It's Wraith King stun, like there's not much you have to cancel it out.
Yeah, there's no chain stunning, and then he can potentially, as he said, like steal refraction from TA, and then you've got to get through the shield bubbles first, and then the Lincolns as well. It's just very, very problematic for Mineski about how they target a hero at the beginning, because you want to go IO, right? Like you have to remove the IO from the field. And maybe that's the easier target and the reason why we're seeing the blink over on TA. But can you get anybody else?
Yeah, the problem is complexity are trying to hit and run, but at the moment the car isn't starting. And it's not... I just don't see them winning a game centered around trying to accelerate. Their next play, though, like it's not like they're out of it, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But they need to get Roche, and they need to try and have some sort of objective go down. There's a Doom.
Coming out towards the top. Doom is already out over on Darkseer. KP was the one that started this, and he may be the one to finish it. No, of course he won't. You have the adaptive strike from Ajit, and that'll be another kill. And that 4 in total for the Morphling.
I like the build on KP. Just phase into Crimson Guard. Look at complexity's lineup, right? Outside of the Darkseer Ion Shell, almost 0 magical damage. You can reduce the TA and the Wraith King.
I don't think he wants to be there. You got the Eye on the Morphling coming in behind him. Moon just jumps straight over the top. You got the Vortex. He's trying to charge himself away with the extra movement speed from the phase boots, and the Helicopter still not enough to keep Z-Freak alive. Cows don't work well in water. And then they're going to go for the Chen army as well. The entire thing gets destroyed.
And so with the item synergies, right? You've got Midas Radiance on Miracle, but Limp's rushing Blink. So at what point were they looking to
fight?
Yeah, it just feels like they were a bit desynced in terms of how they wanted to win this game. And right now, Mineski punishing. A bit of a lag spike, yeah, felt that too. Looks like we should be fine now. But it just gets easier for Mineski to play this game. And Cole, you need to get Roche. That's got to be your objective here. You've got Wraith King. You're going to have a Deso soon on TA. You need to get it ASAP because you're winning the game. You get a bit of an edge with the Roche, sure. But if you want to win the game, it's when you pick up the third one, the second one. And
so you need to start the timer.
Exactly.
That's a hard ask, man. Mineski have a lot of ways to jump inside the pit and cause chaos. At least they don't have a big AoE ulti, but if you got 2 heroes, they're gonna get bound together by Grimstroke, and you've got range checking of Mineski from both the supports.
And just Tavo's game right now is just not feeling good. Only near 6K net worth, but it's behind. And sure, the supports of complexity are doing all right, but so are those in Mineski. And they're not able, if you look at the vision, right? No traps, no wards on Mineski's side of the jungle. That was a key component of their victory, and it's just not something they've been able to get done. And they have to try and get aggressive on the map, slow down Mineski's pace, and just ability to outfarm. We can see even in the stagnant game, it was 3K after the tower died. Now all of a sudden, Mineski 4K ahead. They're farming faster. It's just the nature of the lineup.
They're prepping Z-Freak. Okay, he hits hard. He's going to
my
go back for
God.
the Nether Strike. Moon needs to jump right now. The fact interrupts just
bash.
long enough, and Z-Freak secures it with the 17.
That was a huge kill. 2K gold swing off of it.
520 gold in for Z-Freak, and that's going to help him actually finish up the Spirit Vessel, because he was having to go the hard road and buy this up.
And Cole, they're getting to a point. Their team fight's formidable. They're going to have mech. They've got Vlad's, but there's a Grimstroke Doom here with the Blink. If they get the Soulbind off, it's a double Doom for sure.
As a Blink reveal too. Arcane Boots. Okay, Tavo, careful. And there's your first jump. Z-Freak looking for the retreat back out again. Into the movement speed. Have they got a slow? They have anything? No, they don't.
But look at what Mineski's doing. Look, IO Morphling, their bottom lane. No desire to engage. And they're going to control these two bottom bounty runes. Whereas Mineski, they can still posture around the one on top, because if you fight them, there's always the threat of the relocate, a Storm TP, and boom, they're 5.
Yep. Oh, here's your charge again. Z-Freak wants to go in. He's got a lot of damage to give. Doesn't have the Nether Strike, however, so he's holding it back. And here's your Wraithfire Blast. A lot of players from compLexity. And they'll easily be able to take out the Tier 1 tower. Fortification will only delay them.
Mid lane, you see Limp, he's got the Deso. Yep, right into
Grouping
Roshan.
around Roshan.
They need to make this happen. And keep in mind, the damage output of compLexity is still high. The wall is huge. If you can get a Morph Illusion, all of a sudden compLexity gets spooky. They've got more auras, they've got more damage amplification, and the Wraith King TA right now will hit hard if a core makes a mistake.
KP instantly jumps in. Now Storm into the pit. Who's going to get the Aegis?
It's on the
No
ground.
one's picked it up just yet. Now it's in the hands of Lim. KP so low on life, turns to run himself back out with the Crimson Guard. Maybe he's got enough life, but the TA trap back and back in, all into the wall that Arjit is fighting from inside the pit. I will die and Doom will buy back to keep this fight going on. Lim, he's able to be protected, keeping that Aegis Immortal in their hands, and also Moon is actually out of mana. He doesn't do much more now, and 3-4-3, if he's the only casualty of war, this is a great fight for compLexity.
Oh, for sure. It's because the Doom went off on the Wraith King. Not only was it a single usage, but it's on the worst hero to Doom. He's still got the Radiance ticking, and he just respawns after he finally goes down. I like the decision from Mineski to try and take that engagement, but they needed better target selection, and because Ninja Boogie had already died, the big threat of the double Doom was gone, so it's just not an ideal fight location.
And they keep the pressure up. You do not want to back off, so KP's the big target, and when I say big, I mean big. He's very hard to kill off, but he's still possible.
Right.
73 seconds. Remember, he bought back after that fight. Well, here comes the rest of Mineski. Over towards Z-Freak. Storm, long jump. Z-Freak charging out, actually bashes Moon on the retreat. The Inkswell will be wasted. Storm
Getting a little
now
too aggressive
out
here
of
on
mana.
Mineski.
He's totally out of mana. Z-Freak will run in. They get the soul bind out at
No
least,
Doom
but
for
Ninja
50.
Boogie's the primary one being targeted. You'll probably lose the TA. No, they've actually broken free of the dead wife. Moving forward on a Raging Potato. He'll end up popping the waveform forward, but Refraction will end up protecting him. And in compLexity, they are charging through under the tier 2 tower to kill a Fajit and put everybody but Storm into the grave. Questions shall be asked at this moment.
That's the kind of, like, they just gave Cole a huge lead in the game, and that's the threat of the draft. They have so many auras. They've got the Ursa for the attack speed, the Vlads, the Greaves, and with the Radiance timing, like, the damage output of these two cores in conjunction is insane. What are you doing there? The Doom is dead with no buyback for 50 seconds, and you're chasing after a hero that has Aegis? They just lost to Rax.
Yep, Storm's trying to do something about it. Jumping in, Moon burning all that mana again just to try and slow things up, but it's happened. The top melee and range is gone. They won't push for anything more because they have to still claim the outer towers on the mid and the bot lane. But compLexity, it feels like they're now back in their timing zone.
Yep.
And Mineski kind of gave them the loan to get there.
And now they just camp the jungle. Now you have this lead. compLexity can just constantly look for fights. Mineski are no longer in a position to play this cat and mouse game. They should have continued to farm. Like, they didn't have the Scotty on Ajit finished. He switched it out for a Manta Rush now, but, you know, Lincoln's on a Morph and Storm with Kaya soon to have a Bloodstone. Like, these are not items that mean fight. compLexity had Blink Radiance, Blink Deso, and like, they tasted blood, and you just swam at them. It just, woof. All right, Limp still with Aegis, going BKB next. Once he picks up that item, there will be nothing these Mineski supports can do to survive the moment they get charged by Z-Freak, who, with that max Bulldoze, he has so much status resist. 70% bonus. He just charges through and is unstunnable as he sticks on one of these backliners. They're going to now smoke, try and catch Mineski playing in their jungle.
The really funny thing is that we were sitting here saying Mineski are in control because compLexity were behind in their item timing, behind in their levels, and behind in their presence. Raging Potato's dead.
Yep.
And they're instantly moving on. Look at Z-Freak, surged up. He knows he can just keep going for different targets and getting Spirit Vessel charges. Ajit charges his way out. Nether Strike just out of range. They'll trigger the Lincoln Sphere from 343's Penitence, but the pressure is there to be applied to the Tier 1 tower. You don't need a creep wave for that.
Yep. And great job. And once you have a Shadow Blade on Z-Freak, it gets a lot harder for the Storm, really for anyone to play the game, because he's going to be able to stun them for 5 seconds out of nowhere. The Surge is moving him forwards at ludicrous speed. Not much Mineski can do, because the one weakness of the draft, of course, not many methods of acquiring vision unless they're in a stable position in the game.
Charge.
They aren't anymore, and
Look
oh my
at him
god.
move. He's
Dead.
down to half life with just only the first hit with Spirit Vessel. You know, there's no extra healing. Ajit comes forward as well, but now Limp looking for his own fight. Morphling, this is now his time to stand. And Storm Spirit jumps in deep, pulls back into the wall. Looking for the extra copy. Z-Freak jumping in, making sure Aya's got out of it, but with the Soulbind and Ajit clipped up, he's in the right position because now from up here, he can just keep the attack going. compLexity can't reach him. They'll break the Aegis Immortal on TA. It only had a couple of seconds left anyway, and maybe with the waveform down, Ajit right on top of Limp. The charge actually gets secondary bash, but they're into the back lines, looking for the kill first over onto KP, then over towards Ajit, and these Spirit Vessels make it impossible for Mineski to heal. An Ultra Kill for Miracle, and he wants to finish the set, but Storm is back at base. Instead, take the objective-based gaming. Tier 2s, Tier 3s. Storm's coming out again. Anyone going to grab?
Yeah, glyphed it. No, he's just trying to kill the creep wave, but they glyphed the creeps, which means another axe will most likely fall. They would have had them from the top lane anyway.
He's got no TP. He can get the 25-minute runes, but it looks like they're giving up on the bottom lane of Rax. Not enough people alive. This has escalated so quickly in just the last 5 minutes. compLexity have just got a stranglehold on Mineski.
This is the scary part about the cold draft, where you make a couple mistakes.
Can he actually get away with this? He's looking to kill off Z-Freak. Z-Freak is insanely tanky, however. 2K, but it will be enough. Moon plays around him. A huge hit to get, but you've still lost your bottom lane of Rax, so it feels like just a Bloodstone charge. Yay, seems good.
Yeah, you're totally cool with that recall. And that's these drafts that threaten buildings. We saw it with Alliance yesterday. You can't make as many mistakes. You took one bad fight in this game, really, as Mineski, and Cole took a Rax and all of a sudden had a dominating lead. It just, that's how it goes when you have the structure damage of a Wraith King, of a Chen, of a TA. It's just too much to handle. Mineski needed this game to last much longer, but took fights too early. That's what happened.
We see Miracle just bouncing around inside of his chairs. Yeah, we're cool, everything's fine. Let's not worry about it. Let's just get back in the game. Only 2 side lane racks down. It's nice.
Yeah, it's compLexity's game now. They just have to execute, get the next Roche. BKB on the TA is active, and AC on Miracle. It's just a spooky amount of physical damage that they offer. You even have the extra Blightstone on 343. I love that. Just to give, now Medallion. Represents so much minus armor. 5 from Wraith King, 7 from Deso, 8 from Meld.
It just lets everybody stand so strong on the front lines. But if Miracle can be just that beast for compLexity, like, what is Mineski meant to do? Moon jumps in. He tries to clean up the creep wave. Ajit will now also arrive. Wraithfire Blast actually managed to trigger quickly on the Lincoln Sphere, but Storm Spirit is the primary target. Z-Freak pushing him back. Lip will get the nuke, and the Dark Sea Wall comes down, instantly getting a copy of that Morphling, but they won't care when they get all the damage in the world. KP can't do anywhere near enough. Even if he does get the double Doom off, they're just staying in the ground and fighting. So Storm Spirit into the back lines. Maybe now he can get some rebuttal into Limp, trying to kill off the Templar Assassin. The Doom still doing the ticking. It's Raging Potato needs to get the extra life. Moon has to bow back out. He's out of mana and very low out of life. The compLexity, they've only lost the TA.
Yeah,
they actually tanked through that entire initiation. They tanked through the double doom. They tanked through the combination of Mineski, and they're still kicking.
You can see how if this game went differently, Mineski would be in a position to take fights because the TA BKB goes down after the doom. Like, you negate a core's ability to do anything, but they're going straight for the win. He's just dead.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Was it if Raging Potato had a really good game, they'll be looking good, but now silence over on Wraith King. He's still got reincarnation, so even if Mineski do bring him down, he'll just be straight back up again.
Yeah. 2-time skeletons spawn Talon as well, so the push will be even scarier. Roche spawning in 2 seconds. That'll be compLexity's next move. There's no doom anymore, so we can expect them to be able to do that almost for free. And love Wraith King as a hero concept because once you get this strong, look how aggressive he can play. What are you going to do? He has reincarnate even if you get this kill.
Unless they can kill him a secondary time, but Tavo's arrived, Moon being charged in. Spirit Breaker!
Oh,
Z-Freak hits all
Morphling!
3, and Ajit's in real trouble! He's down for the count! No buyback available, and this may just be the game. Storm's out for 100 seconds too. KP is the last man standing. He'll get one quick hit, but Miracle's good to fight.
He's going to get the slow.
Yeah, with the
Gotta cancel the
reincarnation
blink.
triggering, and Tavo keeps running forward. The blink is there. He moves to the east, trying to wrap around the back of the Ancient, but compLexity hot on the tail with the Wraith Fire Blast. KP knows he can't tank through this. Tavo is just trying to get the body block off, but KP will die with the extra crit. Oh boy, I think game 1 really does belong to compLexity. They just need to take mid lane now, and they got 70-second window while Storm is down to do it.
Yeah, it all starts the Roche fight, and compLexity, they get the edge, and since then, they've just taken the game. Every fight been decisive. Not much Mineski can do in the way of team fight if compLexity just walks into his 5 heroes with all these auras stacked up, all the minus armor. There's nothing you can do.
They're going to try and fight without the Storm Spirit. It's the only reason you have the buyback coming in from the Doombringer right now. But who's the primary target? Wraith King? He's not the one you're looking for. Protected by Lotus Orb. Miracle's already taken the range racks, and they're backing up.
Yep.
Look towards next Roshan. He's up and running.
And bounty runes as well have spawned. There's no need to do anything crazy if you're compLexity. The wolf creep now coming out. Really just want to take stock. You know, Cole understanding the draft. You look at the items. You look at what they've got. Wolf creep, Greaves, a Vessel, an AC, Deso, Vlad's, Medallion, even a Lotus Orb for some counteracting of the... Really, like, I guess you just throw it on whoever gets soulbound. Somebody's going to get doomed. Rather, Doom is going to doom himself.
Yeah.
And just excellent play. The Wolf representing 30% bonus damage is something OG popularized, but really everybody knows this. You know, damage amplification, stacking, plus minus armor equals
Win.
DPS. And it's all about being on top of the meters. I learned that thanks to a different game that Rich could tell you about. And now it's just regroup. You got Aegis, you got Cheese, as you said. No rush, but compLexity, they just need one more fight.
Yeah. And Mineski will give it to them, and they'll give it to them under their tier 4 towers. That's the only place they can take it. A smoke up. The pressure is coming from compLexity. But at this point, all Storm can do is try and cut the wave.
Yeah.
Burns a TP every time he does it too.
I forgot Divine Favor also is giving 20% heal increase. That counts lifesteal. That counts the Greaves, the Chen heal. So much sustain on compLexity. It was one of the changes in the C patch that came out just before. I also like Miracle. He keeps turning on and off his Radiance, hoping that Ajit's going to morph him with it down, and then it'll no longer be a tool for him to use.
Fun little piece.
Yeah.
And,
one of the most improved players this season, in my opinion. I'm not going to lie. When Miracle first started playing for compLexity, I was like, Zach, really? Like, really? But 6 months later, he's, I think, become a very real part of the roster. That's why he's still on it, of course. But just a good player, and he's really embraced that hard one-position role that I think this patch requires you to play if you're going to play that carry role.
Well, he can be looking good, but it's the double damage and the full Daedalus over on the Templar Assassin that is probably going to make Limp the superstar of this next fight. It's plus 383 damage, if I saw correct. It's very, very high, so someone's going to get popped. And he's looking for his target, and it was mid. Morphling's the primary target. They get soul-bound together. KP jumps in pretty deep, but, well, doesn't matter when the Doom gets off once again. They just help reflect. Moon is back in. They bolt the back, but Moon is so little on life. He almost got hit by the side blades down as well, but GG is called. Mineski will admit defeat as compLexity. They had the opportunity given to them by Mineski, and boy, did they take it.
And not to take anything away from them. They thought they played great. They executed their draft. Sure, there were a couple mistakes. I thought that they had lost control of the game.
Yeah.
But after the Roche fight, you know, forced a buyback on KP. His game was ruined after that. He die-backed in the jungle, and then Mineski go for that engagement. You know the Doom is still dead. And Cole, they just do too much damage. It's the building. It's the structure damage. Another weakness of the Mineski lineup there is they have no natural way to pressure objectives. They had to play the better game. They had to never take that terrible fight, continue to extend and extend.
Never take the fight to start with, or the two that came directly after it. Because it all just seemed to escalate. Like compLexity, they just went from strength to strength, and like they were never meant to get there. Like when the Spirit Vessel got onto Z-Freak, it's like, well, okay, well the Morphling and the Eye is totally out of this. Like when Darkseer started getting more farm and SB got levels, then it's like, well, Io is going to die straight away anyway, just from the Iron Shell's insane charge speed. And it's like Grimstroke and Io couldn't do anything at that point.
Yeah, and that's the problem, because if they're ahead, compLexity will have vision advantage. And we saw a couple times, Z-Freak gets Ion Shelled, he gets surged, and he charges as support. You cannot stop him. And even if you do, it's just for a moment because of that bonus status resist.
Yep.
You're dead. You've got the blink on TA. You got every core can just get on top of that hero. It will die. It'll open up the team fight for your squad.
Wasn't that always like a weakness of like IO +1? You need to make sure you had like that instant stun, that instant control. Like I think we saw like Rubik's, whoever, that telekinesis instant grab. But can an instant grab work against a Spirit Breaker who's moving at ludicrous speed?
And the thing is, you saw that almost every fights that Mineski took, right, that they wanted, was beginning with a buyback. And that's because that first hero is always going to die because Cole will find the initiation. It's a tough game to play, but 3-game series.
Yeah, 3-game series. So game 2, let's see what we get.
In esports, we are still at the beginning, and giving context to data is super complex. Technology and stats and insights can really help doing that.